What's going on, guys? I'm TieFly85.
And I'm T-Rec87. And today we are reviewing the movie Bright. Let's get started. So, first off, before we get started on the review, I do want to make a full disclosure that this is going to be a spoiler review. So for any of you that have not seen the movie, we feel as though, I mean, since it's so widely available, it's on Netflix, so it's easy to go watch, that we don't want to hold back anything as far as like story elements we want to talk about, things like that. So just be warned, if you haven't watched Bright yet, I do recommend watching it before you watch our review. That way you don't potentially have parts of the movie ruined. So the first thing we do want to kick off though is we want to talk about, just generally speaking, the characters of the movie Bright.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and start it off with Will Smith. Now, I really liked Will Smith's character overall. I will say, I mean, he plays that, I'm not going to lie, he plays that typical, what I would say is a Will Smith character when it comes to this particular role, because it kind of brought me back and reminded me of, like, you know, iRobot, when he played that particular kind of, that character. So it did kind of remind me that a little bit, but I feel like that's kind of the typical Will Smith, so I was already expecting that. But overall, I really enjoyed his character in this movie. I mean, him playing Daryl Ward as the character Daryl Ward in the show. Yeah, I really liked his character development and how he interacted with everybody else. He just seemed like he was really conflicted, but also knew what he wanted.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he did definitely have some conflict in the movie. I mean, as far as like in the very beginning, it seemed as though he was one of the few people that wanted to treat like the orcs as, he did want to treat them as equals, but at the same time, when he's off in like the locker room, you know, with like the rest of the regular, you know, just the normal humans, you know, he would sit there and say like, you know, like, I don't want this guy in my car, you know, this, that, and the other. So it seemed like he was a little bit conflicted about it. Like he didn't necessarily like being paired up with Jacoby, Joel, was it Edgerton? Joel Edgerton's character?
Joel Edgerton, yeah, Jacoby.
Jacoby, yeah. He didn't like being paired up with him, but at the same time, he didn't want to treat him bad. But then at the same time, when he's not necessarily near him, he does not say the nicest things about just having to be with him. So his character is definitely conflicted, and you're absolutely right about his character. I mean, Will Smith. I think Will Smith has a good acting range, but he tends to play very specific roles. You know, whether it's the hard cop action hero, or just the kind of the goofy like the goofy witty, you know, hero, like say like Men in Black or Wild Wild West, where he's just got those one-liners and, you know, and he's cool and calm. Or, you know, Will Smith also has like the super drama role where Will Smith, like, you know, like cries and like be super dramatic. So, but I do like his character. I do like that throughout the movie he does seem to progress a little bit, and his thoughts and opinions about things, they don't seem to change like a whole lot, but he's more willing to express them, especially when it comes down to like the big scene with the four cops after they find the magic wand. Ultimately, he wants to do the right thing, you know, and so I do like his character quite a bit. I also like Jacoby, the orc, quite a bit. I think he's just kind of like this, almost, I don't know, naive. Not naive in a way, but he's just very, I don't know how to describe it. He's almost like he's kind of got like a simple way of looking things. Just a simplistic way of looking at the world. Like he wants to be a hero. Wants to be accepted, but at the same time he knows that he's not accepted by humans or orcs just because of the life path he's chosen. I really enjoyed just his character in general. So
yeah, no, he did a really good job of playing that particular, like, very conflicted, hermity kind of character. I don't know. The one thing that I will say within the movie itself, that I didn't necessarily like particularly with his character, it was a great character, but was that they made it so that he was too simple, that he didn't really think things through. I know that that's what they were trying to portray, and they totally pulled it off, because it did. But I just didn't necessarily like that they made him, they kind of dumbed him down just a little bit.
What's the name of Batista's character in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Drax.
Drax. They made him kind of like Drax a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Where Drax is kind of just like a little bit like thick-headed and just kind of a big lug, and like, but he thinks like really stupid things are funny. But he just has that simplistic worldview. And that's, I think, the comparison I was trying to make in my mind when I was watching it last night. Is I mean, he's not like dumb or anything by any means, but he does view the world, it seems like to me, in a very simple way. So. Mm-hmm. Another character, what was the sister, the one who actually ends up having the wand?
Tika?
Tika, yeah, Tika. Her character I found to be not very interesting, personally. I mean, towards the end it got a little more interesting with her, and when she actually used the wand and she got hurt, but we were talking about this earlier, and she has a definite comparison to a character from another movie. I don't know if you want to go ahead and explain that, our thoughts, because we were both in agreement on that, Type Life.
Yeah, no, she totally reminded us a lot of Lilu from The Fifth Element, like, Mila Jovovich. I don't know if any of you all caught that, if you have seen the movie, but, I mean, when she started doing, like, the first time that you saw her, like, up on this wall, and then they're, like, exiting out of this building, and he's like, come on, and then she does the crazy flip down, and you just see her doing these crazy moves, and you're just like, where'd that come from? And then I was just like, holy crap, it's like multi-pass. Like Leeloo Dallas multi-pass.
Dallas, yeah.
And then the whole scene when they get into the car and there's the whole chase with the gunfight, like
right.
It totally reminded. And she's just flying around in the back seat and like saying all these crazy things. Like you don't really know what she's saying, but she's just making noises and stuff.
Right.
And so it totally reminded me of that whole scene from The Fifth Element and her character. But it was well done. It was funny. It didn't really quite make perfect sense overall, but. It definitely fit into the storyline.
Yeah, I think it did too. And her character is an elf. Just for anybody that hasn't seen, there's the three main races of the movie: the elves, the orcs, and the humans. And I mean, even the part where she actually ends up getting hurt towards the end. Well, not hurt, but like using the wand like hurts her. Brought me back to The Fifth Element, and I think they pulled a lot of inspiration for her character from that movie. Because I was thinking that even last night as I was watching it, before me and you would even talk today, I was just like, God, that reminds me of Leeloo Dallas. So I didn't dislike her character. I just didn't find her to be like super interesting, mainly because she didn't really speak a whole lot during the movie. I think was my big thing. And then like we get 3/4 of the way through the movie, and all of a sudden she starts speaking English, just because she trusts them now or whatever. So that was I think out of any of the characters, my biggest gripe. And other than the bad guys, the villains, I feel the villains were pretty one-dimensional. They weren't explored as well as they should have been. This movie could have afforded to have been 20, maybe 30 minutes longer, and really dive into those characters and give them some better motivations, or at least explain their motivations a little more. Like I know that her sister wanted her wand back or whatever, but it just, I don't know. Their characters felt one-dimensional to me. Like she was just like an elf-killing machine. Like that's all she was, and she wanted her wand, and that was, I get for the purposes of the movie, that it served its purpose, but I would have liked to have seen more from that personally.
Yeah, well, it kind of goes back to the whole thing of, like, they didn't really explain very well this whole kind of religious aspect of the Brights with the magic.
Right.
It was just kind of thrown in there really quickly. It felt very rushed.
Yeah.
So then when these elves show up that want this wand back because they're trying to bring back, the Dark Lord within this magic realm, it seemed very rushed, very forced, and yeah, like you said, I mean, there was not very much character development between these three, like, main antagonists or, like, baddies. So I definitely would have liked to have seen more of that as far as character development for them specifically, and also, too, for what were the, high elves, like FBI or whatever they were trying to portray with the high elves coming after them, like, constantly trying to find her. Like, I would have liked more character development there as well.
Right, I would have too. I also think that the world that they've created is so great. Honestly, like, it's just such a believable universe that they have here, that they just establish it right from the beginning. Like and they do a pretty good job of quickly explaining it to you that there's the orcs, the elves, and the humans. But then when you get over to that magic side, and this is my point, that whole section gets kind of glossed over, like the Dark Lord and the Brights and everything, and it's just like you get like a quick little piece of exposition about it, and then like it's done, and then that's all you really learn throughout the movie. You don't really learn like who. I mean, there's mentions of the Dark Lord, like they're like, oh yeah, he did this, but you never see him in the movie. Obviously, I mean, he doesn't ever make an appearance. You don't ever learn a whole lot about him. Like, why is he trying to destroy humanity? Really? I mean, other than that, I guess they want like the magic users to rule the world. I would have liked to have seen more of explanation of that part of the story, but maybe it just didn't fit. You know, maybe if I believe didn't there already get Bright signed up for a sequel? I'm pretty sure I heard that.
I think so.
I don't know if it's just a rumor at this point, but I could have sworn they've already signed on for a sequel, and hopefully in the sequel they will explore more of the magic side of things. Just because it's a really great world they've created, and I love it so much. Like I'm really big into, you know, sci-fi, or like, but I am also big into like fantasy. You know, like with your elves and your orcs and stuff like that. I really like that kind of thing, and it was really cool. And this movie does try to convey a message, I think. Just as far as like societal problems that we deal with today, it tries to convey it in a different way, and I think they do a pretty good job of trying to, you know, make their point known of the story that they're trying to tell and the problems that they're trying to speak to.
Yeah, I liked how how they particularly portrayed the orcs overall. They did do a quick gloss over of that, but I like how they tried to at least explain that the orcs were kind of the underdog class because they decided to side with evil back in like when the Dark Lord was alive before he was vanished.
Right.
That they joined sides with him, but then now joined back in with society and are just living among everybody like normal. But that's where everybody gets that kind of mindset towards them, is because they knew them as fighting with, you know, the bad side.
Right.
So I like the whole aspect of thinking about it this way. Think of Lord of the Rings with all of the orcs. And, like, just imagine if, like, after Sauron died, all the orcs turned back to being good and then now are just living among everybody.
Right.
Like, that's how I imagine.
They get treated like garbage.
Yeah,
like, nobody would like them because of what they've done, and in this case, it's thousands of years later. But yeah, you're absolutely right, dude.
Yeah, it totally reminded me of that quite a bit. There's only one other thing I would say overall that did kind of perturb me just a little bit. I loved the movie, don't get me wrong, but one thing was that there were no subtitles. Anytime there was like elf speaking to elf, or there was an orc speaking to an orc, or anything like that, we had no idea what they were saying.
Oh, really? Maybe I just didn't notice that, really. I mean, oh, no, I think I had the subtitle, like the actual subtitles turned on my movie, and so I'm pretty sure it actually told me what they were saying. But to not have an in-movie subtitle.
Yeah, that's the part I'm talking about, the
right.
in-movie subtitle. Like, to not have it specifically there straight up, what are you saying? Like,
right.
I shouldn't have to turn on the subtitles to know what somebody's saying.
Right, no, absolutely. And I mean, I got lucky, I guess, just because I tend to watch movies with subtitles because I like to read what people are saying in case I miss something. I've always liked to do that. But the only other thing that perturbs me is I feel like this movie was really good. I liked the movie. It was really straightforward, though, for the most part. There wasn't really any huge surprises in the movie. And I could tell you within the first 15 minutes of this movie watching it that Will Smith was going to be a Bright.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, they mentioned it for like literally in a passing moment comment that happened within like 10 seconds, where they're just like, it's a 1 in a billion chance that a human could be a Bright, and then you knew instantly right in that moment. You're just like
Will Smith's the one. Yeah, he's the one.
There's no way. Like, they have the wand in that moment, so you're just like, well, there you go.
Yeah. Other than that, though, I mean, I think that the first act was really good. I don't feel like any part of this movie really dragged at all. I feel like this movie kept its pace pretty quickly. I did like the scene where they got captured and they were in like the orc hideout or whatever, and Jacoby got shot, and the sister uses the magic wand to actually like to revive him. I thought that was a pretty cool scene. That is the only scene that I felt was like maybe a little long. Like, they were just going for that dramatic effect, and like literally, like, my wife was like yelling at the TV, like, shoot him already. She was literally like, just like, get it over with. Like, come on, just shoot him. Like, we already know what's gonna happen. she knew what was going to happen. She's like, she's going to revive him. Like, just do it. So that was my only time where I was just like, yeah, this could be about a minute shorter maybe. But
yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Absolutely.
Overall, it's a very good movie. I love the story they were trying to tell. There weren't any humongous surprises for me. Even the sister thing, we called very early, that the bad girl and the girl with the wand were sisters. We knew that, like, very early on. We're like, yeah, they're sisters, you know, like, so. It was a very predictable movie, I think, if nothing else, but again, no, it was a good story, so.
Yeah, speaking of story and storytelling, the director of the movie, David Ayer, speaking of that, he's actually a really good director, and he's done quite a few other films that kind of have that team-up, buddy cop type of feel. Mm-hmm. I mean, some other ones, the most recent one that he's done, which is actually surprising because he casted Will Smith in this one, because Will Smith was also in Suicide Squad, right. And David Ayer directed Suicide Squad. He also, for all of you who are not familiar with him, directed the original Fast and the Furious. Yeah, he directed the original Fast and the Furious. So he's done quite a few films. Yeah. So he's definitely a really good director. I really did like Suicide Squad. It was a great film. So to see him do another film that's kind of that same type of team up, but also could be lighthearted, but also be serious. And so it was a good film. I really liked it.
Yeah, and it seems like just from the popular reviews from people, I feel like that it's gotten really good reviews from like audiences that have watched it. But critically, it has gotten like slammed. It's like a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I found to be very surprising. And that's all like all critics. The audience score is actually 87%, which is like a huge, and so you see that sometimes, you know, like this wasn't a movie that was written to win an Oscar. It was a movie that was, you know, written to be watched. So I found it interesting though that it got so critically panned. The critics didn't like it, but audiences seem to really love it. And I think that anybody, you know, you should go watch it and give it a shot and see what you think of it, because it's really pretty good. So as far as a rating goes, and again, I just wanted to, since this is like one of our first times doing this, we've only done this a couple times, we came up with like a new rating system for things. Our highest rating would be, you know, go see it in theaters. And obviously this is a Netflix movie, so you can't do that. But the second rating would be like Redbox. Third rating would be, you know, watch it on Netflix once it comes on Netflix. And the fourth rating would be find it at that Walmart bargain bin, you know, someday 5 years down the road. And so it's just kind of a high to low rating. Just basically, we just thought we would try to do something different with our rating system, just for any of you that didn't maybe see like our Star Wars review, where we implemented this rating. I just kind of wanted to explain it one more time so you knew what was going on. And so we both thought that this deserved a theater rating, where you should absolutely go see this in theaters. I mean, I know that unfortunately you can't, and I would love to go see this in theaters, but unfortunately it's just not the case. But I think that this movie deserves high marks. I think they told a good story, and I'm excited for the sequel.
Yeah, no, hopefully there definitely is a sequel. I mean, we'll have to wait and find out, but yeah, it definitely left an ending where they could definitely pull off a sequel, or at least continue the story, or if they even wanted to go back and do a prequel. So
yeah,
they could really go either way.
And I swear I'll also look it up and see, maybe if I can look it up, maybe I'll link the article in the description about that it being approved for a sequel. I don't think they've like started production or anything like that. I've heard that they just, though the movie did well enough that they want another one. Alright guys, well that's it for our Bright movie review. We really hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you enjoyed the movie as well. I hope you go watch it, give it a shot, give it a chance. I do genuinely think you will enjoy this movie. And
also too, if you did end up seeing the movie, or if you agreed with any of the stuff that we said or disagreed or anything, like, let's go ahead and start a conversation. Let us know down below. We'd love to talk to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know like what you thought about the movie, what you liked, disliked, just about anything in particular. We do love reading your comments. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you again soon.
And always remember, stay awesome.
Let's just break it down to you and me uptown, dancing all around till the disco ball pops. But I have to be me, and everyone can see your anger is misplaced.